Or you could put the TV inside a...
Or you
and then your weight will always be around.
and then your weight will always be around where you want it to be.
Where you want it to be. You don't
need more money.
more money. You just need better financial
You just need better financial habits.
habits, and then you'll always have enough.
And then you will always have enough money to manage the things that comes up.
Money to manage the thing that comes up. You can be the architect of your habits rather than the victim of them.
You can be the architect of your habits rather than the victim of them.
A lot of the time people talk about, I want to have more money, or I want to lose weight, or I want some...
A lot of people talk, I want more money, I want some kind of result, but the truth is...
kind of result. But the truth is, your bank account is a lagging measure of
your bank account is a lagging measure of your financial habits.
Financial habits. Your weight is a lagging measure.
Your weight is a lagging measure of your eating habits.
Of your eating habits. Your knowledge is a...
Your knowledge is a lagging measure of your learning and reading habits.
Lagging measure of your learning and reading habits. And so
it's actually we think the thing that needs to change.
It's actually, we think the thing that needs to change is the bank account or the test score.
Is the bank account or the test score or number on scales.
Or the number on the scale. But
actually, the thing that needs to change.
The thing that needs to change are the habits that
precede those outcomes.
Those outcomes. Every action you take is kind of...
Every action you take is a vote for the type of person you want to become.
Like a vote for the type of person you want to become. And if you can master the right actions, if you can master
the right actions, you can master the right habits.
The right habits, then you can start
to cast votes for this new identity.
Cast votes for this new identity, this desired person that you want to be.
The desired person that you want to be.
Doing one push-up does not
transform your body.
But it does
cast a vote for.
Cast a vote for being the type of
person who doesn't miss workouts.
The technical definition of a habit.
The technical definition of the habit is a behavior.
It's a behavior that has been repeated.
Has been repeated enough times to be more or less automatic.
Enough times to be more or less automatic. So things that you can.
So things that you can do pretty much without thinking about them. Unplugging your toaster after each use.
Or tying your shoes.
Or tying your shoes, or brushing your teeth. The things that.
Or brushing your teeth. Things that you're pretty much just go on autopilot.
You're pretty much just going autopilot when you do them.
Now, why does the brain build them?
Why does the brain build them? What role does it play? Well, as you go through life, you need energy to survive.
As you go through life, you need energy to survive, and this is true not just for humans.
And this is true not just for humans,
but for all organisms.
Needing some kind of energy to survive.
And getting energy.
Requires energy.
Requires energy. You need to eat food to be able to walk around.
You need to eat food to be able to walk around and find the next meal.
And using energy is expensive because the more energy you use, the less you conserve energy whenever possible. possible. And habits are a great method for doing that. Habits are a great method for doing that. So, for example, when
our ancestors were roaming around the savannah,
if there was a berry patch 100
if there was a berry patch 100 meters from you,
it made sense
to go that berry patch
to go to that berry patch rather than one
that was like on the other side of the mountain.
was like on the other side of the mountain, right? You would choose the path
You choose the path of least resistance.
And eventually, what your brain learns is,
and eventually your brain recognize, whenever I'm by this tree,
that means the berry patch
that means that the berry patch is 100 meters away.
is 100 meters away. And so the tree becomes a signal
And so the tree becomes a signal that food is over there.
that, hey, food is over there. And your brain is always picking
up on these signals throughout life.
up on these signals throughout life that
indicates where things are at.
indicate where things are
That indicate where things are at.
And the more that you come across those
signals,
the more you automate
your response.
And pretty soon you're taking a right.
And pretty soon you are taking a right when you get to the tree.
When you get to that tree, even though
you're not even thinking about it.
You're just doing it automatically.
You're just doing that automatically.
And it makes that
whole process
of finding energy,
solving the problem of life,
solving the problems of life, and getting through
things easier.
It requires less.
It requires less energy. It requires less energy and attention and effort than it did before.
Energy and attention and effort than it did before. A lot of people
don't feel like they have control over their habits.
Don't feel like they have control over their habits. They feel like their habits are taking control of
They feel like their habits are taking control of them.
That they're like a victim of these bad routines.
They are like a victim of these bad routines.
And once you start to
dive in a little bit,
and like uncover the
layers,
and
realize what is a habit and how it works.
What a habit is and how it works. Then you start
to develop a little more control over it.
If we're going to be building habits,
if you're gonna be building habits anyway,
then it makes
more sense
to be able to
understand how they work and how to structure them.
So that
you can be the architect of your habits.
Rather than the victim of them.
Okay. And you break them down.
Okay, and you break them down into this
cue, craving,
response, and reward.
On some reward, which is kind of
which is not the traditional way.
Not their traditional way.
So I choose the
4-stage model: cue, craving, response, reward.
That 4-stage model: cue, craving, response, reward. There's a lot of science behind it.
There's a lot of science behind it.
Three
of those 4 stages are very common.
Those 4 stages are very common: cue,
response, and reward.
And reward.
And the idea,
and there's
there's 100 years of behavioral psychology research behind this.
100 years of behavioral psychology research behind this. That if you show someone the right cue, and they take an action, and then you follow it with a reward. Take an action, and then you follow it with a reward. You can train them to do.
You can train them to do that thing.
That thing whenever the cue arises.
whenever the cue arises again, whenever the stimulus happens.
Again, whenever this stimulus happens.
So if whenever the light in the lab turns on,
if whenever the light in the lab turns on, the monkey gets a
squirt of juice.
Squirt of juice, then it knows whenever the light is on, I should go over.
Then it knows I should go and put my mouth underneath the nozzle.
And, put my mouth underneath the nozzle
to get some juice or whatever.
Juice or whatever. And you can do that
for all kind of things.
All kinds of things. And it works for...
And it works for human behavior as well in many ways.
For human behavior as well in many ways. But then there's
a second wave of research with cognitive psychology.
Second wave of research with cognitive psychology over the last probably 50 to 75 years that shows
over the last for 50 to 70 years that shows that not only do external cues
and external rewards
influence our habits,
but also
internal moods, emotions, feelings,
internal moods, emotions, feelings, thoughts, beliefs. Those influence
our behaviors too.
So you don't actually
do something for the rewards.
Do something for the reward. You do it for
the image that your reward creates in your mind.
The image that the reward creates in your mind. If you go to Amazon and you buy Atomic Habits.
If you go to Amazon, you buy Atomic Habits or you buy some book.
So you buy some book or whatever. You aren't actually buying
the book.
You can't.
You can't because you don't have it yet.
What you're buying is the
image that the sales page creates in your mind.
That sales page creates in your mind. You're buying the expectation.
You're buying the expectation
that it will be a good book.
That it will be a good book.
And the reward.
And the reward of actually having the book or reading the thing.
Of actually having the book or reading the thing only comes afterward.
Only comes after
the action.
It comes after the action.
I believe this is true.
I believe this is true. Pretty much all human behaviors and actions.
For pretty much all human behaviors and actions. It is actually the anticipation.
Anticipation. It'll be good.
That it will be good. That gets you to lift.
That it gets you to lift it up.
The reason that I
drink of this tea.
A drink of this tea is not
because I like this taste.
Because I like the tea. I haven't
drank it yet.
It's because I anticipate that.
It's because I anticipate that having a sip will taste good.
Having a sip will taste good, and so it's actually
the anticipation or the hope.
The anticipation or the hope, the
prediction of what is to come.
Prediction of what is to come that motivates all actions to occur.
Motivates all actions to occur.
The craving motivates you to act. Then you take the action, and
then there is the reward.
And there's the reward, and the reward serves two purposes.
And the rewards are two purposes. The reward serves two purposes.
And the first one
is that satisfies the craving that came before.
Is that it satisfies the craving that came before. So
the thing that got you to buy the online course.
The thing that got you to buy the online course, or that got you to sign up for the personal trainer.
Or that you got to sign up for the personal trainer at the gym.
Was the hope
or anticipation.
The anticipation that
if I do this, then I'll be getting fit.
If I do this, then I'll be getting fit, or if I do this, then
Or if I do this, it'll be getting the ideas. I need to build my business.
I'll be, getting the ideas I need to build my business or whatever.
Whatever.
You satisfy
You satisfy that craving by making the purchase.
that craving by making the purchase. And so now that craving is actually gone.
And what you need is a different craving now.
You need is a different craving now. You need the craving to
You need craving to make sales calls
make sales calls or to do a set of
or to do set of burpees or whatever.
burpees or whatever. That's the new craving that you need to actually stick with.
This the new habits to actually stick to the real thing.
The real thing. You fulfilled the craving that
You fulfill the craving that motivated the purchase. You fulfill the craving that motivate the purchase.
motivated the purchase. We mentioned the 4 stages.
We mentioned the 4 stages: cue, craving, response, reward.
Cue, craving, response, reward. And for each of the stages,
And for each of the states, I come up with what I call a law of behavior change.
come up with what I call a law of behavior change. So for the cue, the first law is
For the cue, the first law is to make it obvious.
to make it obvious.
For the craving, the law is to make it attractive.
Craving, the law is to make it attractive. Response, make
Response, make it easy.
it easy. And reward,
And reward, make it satisfying.
make it satisfying. The first idea is you want to make the cue
The first idea is you want to make the cue of your good habits
of your good habits obvious, available.
obvious, available, visible, easy to see. Obvious, available, visible, easy to see. I like this one.
Visible, easy to see. The easier it is that they catch your attention, the more likely you'll fall into the habit. To break a bad habit, response, make it easy, and reward, make it satisfying. The first idea is you want to make the cues of your good habits obvious, available, visible, easy to see.
Obvious, available, visible, easy to see. I like this one. Okay.